Hey, what's up, guys? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 1st of April. It's 2022. So, to me, it's the first day of the year. At any rate, I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning because I thought it would be a good idea to put a 6-foot by 3-foot piece of plywood on my bed, because getting out of bed was so difficult. I thought it was because the bed was so soft or whatever, so I put that on there, and trying to get off of that last night was like somebody severed my spine. It was so bad. I couldn't believe it. And yet I'm still pushing forward, just a little slower. But man, that sucked. I hate being up that early. So what I've been doing is making a video for Jailbreak all day on a new computer that Razer sent me. And the funny thing is the new computer keeps crashing while I'm editing. And that's not the worst part. To get about 10 minutes of edited footage takes about 4 to 5 to 6 hours, depending. And every time this brand spanking new computer crashed, I lost what I just did. It didn't save it or anything. So it just sucked. So I just went to the Toyota dealership to pick up parts. These little clamps right here that I already had, that I put on, and then thought to myself, those should probably be tighter. So I snapped them, which sucks because you can't get them anywhere except Toyota. So I ordered the parts. I went to pick them up, and they handed them to me, and I'm like, these ain't what I ordered. This ain't what I need. And the dude said, well, I said, all I need is just the clamps. I don't need the whole, kit. And fortunately, he had 2 of them in the return bin. So I got those, and that makes me happy. Because the truck is just about done. Just about done. At any rate, I'm making the video, and I'm comparing my computer to the new computer to another computer that I have. And the new computer, they gave it to me to, tell everybody how great it is. I'm not going to do that. Long-term goals, long-term sponsors ain't a concern of mine. I don't care. It's a big sponsor too, but I don't care. I'm telling the truth. This thing crashed twice. My other ones never crashed, man. Not like that. You know what I mean? In Premiere Pro, crashed and took out my videos. That is an enormous waste of time. That is not why you spend a lot of money on a laptop for editing. So they're not going to be happy. But I'm not happy. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to show everybody the facts. And at the end of that video, I'm actually giving away my 2020 Razer Blade Pro 17, which is a monster computer. It's phenomenal. It's more than anyone will probably ever need, unless they edit. And if they do edit, it's a phenomenal editing laptop. I just have more than I need, so I'm going to give it away to somebody. So that's a good score. So check this out. I have been thinking about the signs in the sun, moon, and stars, because that's what I do. I'm going to show you some video that I took in my backyard of the clouds like I've never ever seen in Massachusetts. Never at all. And I'm driving by the reservoir right now. This is our drinking water. And since I've been home, it's rained constantly, and yet the reservoir is incredibly low. And it made me wonder, I wonder if they're siphoning off the fresh water to go to the deep underground military bunkers that aren't for us. And they're not for their stated purpose. They're underground cities, because I can only speculate, but I believe they probably deal with fallen angels down there. People have come up with stories a lot about dealing with things underground, and they called them aliens, but they weren't Christians. You know what I mean? They didn't get it.
Still David or Dave, very much alive and well. I do apologize, I haven't been uploading new tech-based videos. I've been occupied by so many other things. So among others, I have been diving into strange waters. This is basically a scene from the movie The Core, and when I first saw it, I made an interesting connection to another video from Phil Schneider, where he was talking about how those deep underground military bases were supposedly built. Now listen to this.
Now, boring machines, for instance, they don't bore. They literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting and deflagrating system. It reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating on the inside of the base, so you don't have to use gunite cements and other kinds of things like that. That's all old hat now. Technology is just basically the new technology we get is the old hat of the military. I'm going to be real brief about it.
So what are your thoughts on the basis of what you've seen and heard? Is this plausible, feasible, or just one of those interesting, random coincidences that we find in movies or predictive programming? Let me know in the comments. Bye.
Deep underground military bases can take an EMP hit or all sorts of hits, whatever kind of hit they're going to do. But let me remind you, HAARP. Remember HAARP? Yeah. Well, every Doppler radar you see in your town, it looks like a golf ball sitting on a tee, and they tell us that we can have the best weather forecasting. Those are HAARPs, mini HAARPs. And I've shown you over the years how they can use those in an area, a county, a bunch of states to literally steer, stop, or intensify a storm. Did it when the Pope was here, remember? They called it a miracle. Yeah. I'm thinking about the skies being like Aurora Borealis, like Northern Lights. Well, one of the things that HAARP can and always did do, and they told us this, it can mimic the Northern Lights. It can put so much frequency into the atmosphere and excite the molecules that are in the clouds to the degree that they change color or whatever. So when I hear about the Northern Lights coming down south, for a visit, that's what it makes me think. And deep underground military bases would be utterly unaffected by this. So anything you didn't want jammed up, an EMP doesn't last forever. An EMP is a pulse, electromagnetic pulse. Boom. See how I say pulse? Electromagnetic pulse. I crack me up sometimes. It doesn't just sit, once it hits, if you have your car in a Faraday cage or underground or whatever, you have your electronics underground, you're good. And we've heard from over-the-road drivers, truckers, that have gone into these places underground, places that nobody knows about, and come out, states later.
Hey, you guys, it's Willow. So I'm about to do a interview with Tonda, my friend, who you guys have heard me do an interview with previously because she was a truck driver for 18 years. She drove trucks from 1991 until 2008, and she also went inside of the caves that are in Kansas City, or is it Kansas City or the other side of, there's one in Kansas City and there's one on the other side of Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. And she carried a lot of, questionable things. So what kind of, what did you carry that you thought was the weirdest? What was one of the weirdest things that you were carrying?
A little miniature helicopter and the shredded currency.
And the miniature helicopter was military?
I don't know, it was green.
When you picked up the currency, you had someone follow you all the way to the state line, you said?
An escort in front of me and back of me all the way to the state line, but no further. I went to New Mexico with the money.
Right. And I find it really strange that you were picking
I didn't
up
need an escort from the
from the state of
Missouri. Yeah, from the Missouri state line all the way to New Mexico. I don't know.
They drove for hundreds of miles underground. That's crazy, man. That is totally crazy. And the amount of money that they took from us to build these things, you know, well, it's for the protection of the people. No, it isn't. They don't even take care of the roads. The number one thing, they don't even take care of the roads. We pay them. They take money from you under the guise that they're going to take care of business, and they don't. They haven't fixed the roads in I don't know how long, unless, of course, you're talking about the interstate 18-wheeler roads from north to south, east to west. The only project that was going on during the lockdowns was the installation of 5G and the continuation of building those roads. And boy, did they. You know what I mean? They made them bigger, they made them wider, and in some states, they even changed the exits because, you know, the exit numbers that have always been there since the roads were built, yeah, why don't we play a little shell game with them and change them all up? To this day, GPSs still don't recognize the new numbers, but they don't care about that because it's for foreign troops, straight up. So I gotta tell you, be ready. I put the link for Patriot Pantry, my link down there. Use it. Use it. And any proceeds that come from that are just going to go right back to the subscribers. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you to do it because I know a lot of you people and I want you to be squared away. They're going to take away the food. They're not going to just shut everything down and everything's going to happen in an instant. They're going to shut everything down and people are going to be stranded, cold, hot, in the dark, hungry, and defenseless. You know what I'm saying? If there's medications that you require, straight up, you have to have them or you will not live. First of all, that really sucks. Second of all, make sure you have whatever alternative there exists, because there's an alternative for everything the doctor jams in your face. Seriously. Make sure you have them so you're not dealing with detoxing or whatever else could possibly happen because you don't have your medication. Have your medication, a surplus of it, or an alternative for it. Seriously, because I'll tell you one thing, the thyroid, apparently in women, that's a new thing. It must be from vaccines that women take or birth control pills, or I don't even know. But a lot of women have had to they use synthetic thyroid medicine, and without it, they die, I guess. You may want to figure out what an alternative for that is that actually works. And if you find an alternative, try it. Make sure it works. Don't wait till, you know, all hell breaks loose. But that's your call. It's coming, people. It's coming. There is no way that people all over the world seeing strange beams of light in the sky and then the northern lights from the west coast to the east coast. Yeah, that's not what it is. It's not what it is. It's not what it is. It isn't solar flares. It doesn't work like that. It just is not solar flares. And it is not coincidental because an EMP would always accompany a bright flash in the sky. And suddenly our skies lighten up. Yeah, they're coming, people. They are coming. They're not going to stop. They don't have to stop. I hear a lot of big truthers saying things like, they're at their weakest right now. They're on the ropes right now. We can simply start our own economy. What are you talking about? People couldn't even not get locked down by the government. The government told people to lock down and they did it. So you're going to start your own economy and the government's going to go, oh, shucks. We were going to take over the entire world, but these guys are trading vegetables. They've poisoned the soils. They've poisoned wildlife. They've poisoned your children. And they constantly, consistently spray the skies with heavy metals and then also spray the skies with micro flying sensors or whatever. The thing I just showed you the other day. We've warned you about this. Winged microchip is smallest ever human-made flying structure, the size of a grain of sand. Dispersed microflyers could monitor air pollution, airborne disease, which isn't, that's a lie, and environmental contamination.
The goal of this project has been to add capability for winged flight to electronic circuit chips, with the idea that those capabilities would allow us to distribute highly functional but miniaturized electronic devices that could sense the environment for disease tracking, population surveillance, maybe monitoring of environmental population surveillance.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know about all that. It's funny. It's funny. Hope is a strange thing. Hoping in humanity is a loser. That is snake eyes, ladies and gentlemen. That is missing the river. You see what I'm saying? It's betting on the turn and missing the river. You want to put hope in anything, exchange your hope for faith in Jesus Christ. Seriously. Dead serious. I pray so often, I feel like I'm bothering him, you know what I mean? But I do understand that God can understand all of us at all times, always, because he's not under the constraints of time like we are. You see what I mean? Every person that had a near-death experience that went to where they believe was heaven said they experienced eternity in a second. And a second was all eternity, meaning time is irrelevant. It's utterly irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. Utterly. You see what I mean? Hope is a good thing, but faith is even better. Just saying. At any rate, I'm Richie from Boston, and I sponsored this message. I'm out.
Now is the time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. And we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to participate for the 8th time at this important meeting. The damage done to our economies and our societies by COVID-19, it also has to confront the repercussions of a dangerous clash between major global powers. History is truly at a turning point. We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected. In times of crisis, the role of governments is more important and more relevant than ever. I wish you an impactful and successful meeting.
Peace and stability are critical for continued economic progress and to secure a brighter future for generations to come.
We may have disagreements, but resolving them in a battlefield is not the right way to do it.
We have not lost our focus even today with all what is going on. It's tough, it's rough, but we can never lose our sight for our future.
Swiftly when the pandemic hit, and I promise you, we are there for our members who need us now.
The old traditional financial system that we've had is kind of broken. Well, we already know the name of the new system of accounting. It's called blockchain. And the new system of money is digital money.
And let's be totally engaged. Waiting is bad for the planet.
Because technology is growing like this, right? Exponential. But we're growing like this.
These days are the days and years of opportunities. Let's grasp this.
I remember talking to an Australian diplomat at one point about this break between the US and China and said, you know, both sides are going to say, whose team are you on? Mm-hmm. And he said, our job is to make sure the question never arises. But the question has arisen. And so I think we have to go deeper. And it's not about the US versus China. It's about what underpins a world order is always the financial system. What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was the advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. Of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
You see what I mean? Hope is a good thing, but faith is even better. Just saying. At any rate, I'm Richie from Boston, and I sponsored this message. I'm out. I guess I'm not.